Hello parents and welcome back to Parent Shift, a place where we speak about conscious parenting. Today I am going to start a series of videos for you, and the theme of this entire series is how to understand and use transactional analysis in parenting. Now, this is not your full-fledged training in transactional analysis itself. For that, I would encourage you to see some of my other videos. I have a channel called Orbit Shift on which I have been posting videos on transactional analysis. A couple of those links are there. In fact, it's a playlist that is linked in the description of this video. Please take a look at that video and keep following me there. Also, I would suggest that the first video that I'm referencing here for you, which is on Introduction to TA, I have said in that you must read a few books like TA Today by Ian Stewart or I Am Okay, You're Okay, which is by Thomas Harris, and some other introductory textbooks on TA to get a much better understanding of the subject. Fundamentally, it's a beautiful subject, and I will speak about this a lot more as I talk to you in this series of videos. Today's topic for us is getting a new perspective on parenting and how TA or transactional analysis could help us. Very quickly, in addition to what I have said in my introductory video, transactional analysis is a modern psychology, and it's a very complete psychology aspect of understanding self, aspects of understanding relationships, aspects of understanding communication in those relationships and how outcomes are derived. All of this is done very deeply, and that's a very simplistic understanding of transactional analysis. The more you go into this, you will get introduced to concepts like scripts, games, and whatnot. It is such a powerful aspect of understanding humans that everywhere from a householder or a normal person in a corporate job or a business, all the way to a therapist could use this and derive significant benefits. So stay with me as I work with you on transactional analysis in parenting. Now, for a new perspective on parenting, let's understand that transactional analysis helps us understand that parenting is not about teaching kids. In fact, this is something any parenting teacher or guru or guide or mentor or coach would say, that parenting is not about teaching kids. It's about first learning how to be a parent. Now, in transactional analysis, we'd further go deeper into saying that parenting is about decoding our own and our child's needs, our states of mind, our reactions, and everything that is required by us to raise children who are self-aware, who can represent their inner state, their thoughts, their feelings, their emotions consistently and confidently in the external world. In fact, transactional analysis would help us understand how we can help our children self-regulate and work with the highest moral standards of thoughts, feelings, and actions. And in doing so, make choices, achieve their potential in various areas of life, whichever they choose to perform in. And the point here is to have the children have choice while we are guiding lights for them. Now, transactional analysis also will help the parent and the child work towards expressing and receiving emotions with socially appropriate reactions, and also for the child to learn these socially appropriate reactions. And as you continue working with the child using transactional analysis, you will realize that you will help the child express itself in the here and now, mindfulness. That's a powerful gain that the parent will be able to teach the child, and also the parent will be able to do this. So the child becomes a caring, responsible, and creative individual overall. That's the power of TA, and TA shows us how we can work with our children, speak, listen, say, receive, advise, learn, all of that, and parenting becomes a joyful experience. At this point in time, I must say this, that a lot of parents have a deep challenge with parenting, because what they are doing is pretty much trial and error parenting, or it's pretty much gambling. They just come up with a set of approaches or set of thoughts, and many have, oh, I know it, oh, because I have been parented like this, oh, possibly that's the best way. Many apply their logical mind to parenting. However, parenting is a very deep science and it needs to be dealt with very carefully. And that's where transaction analysis plays such a significant role in helping us achieve a healthier parent-child communication. It also creates a lot of cooperation. In fact, using transaction analysis as a parent will build you as a couple. If both of you are parenting the child together under the same roof, it'll help you become a better couple. It'll help your home become a better home. Just some simple examples for you to understand at this stage of introduction. Let's say many of us say, why doesn't our child ever listen? You wouldn't ask questions like these if you understood transactional analysis for parenting, because you will then understand what is making the child run away from you, what is making the child be preoccupied in their own world. Such is the beauty of transaction analysis. In fact, it will help you understand your child so much that you will say, hey, let's get this done together, let's work at this, and let's make you successful. That's when your child opens up. That's the beauty of transaction analysis. So with that quick introduction, let me go to the second pillar of what I wanted to speak to you today. And that is a question of what is really TA in parenting? Well, the answer is very simple. TA is a very simple psychology and a body of knowledge of psychology that can be applied to families. You can use it as couples, you can use it within the family with your child. And that's not just all. It is a psychology, and it's a very simple psychology that can be used in all aspects of your life, at your workplace, in the social setting, for you to become everything from a businessman to an influencer or a businesswoman, or be a successful single professional, all of that. But in a family context, it's a simple psychology for families where you will understand some powerful tools like the ego states model. In transaction analysis, we deal with everything starting with understanding that how within us we have 3 ego states, or basically they are what? As Eric Berne, the founder of TA, would say, it is a way of consistently thinking and responding to the world in response to other consistent stimuli. And as Eric Berne would say, it is our own consistent way of thinking, feeling, and acting, put very, very simply. It shows the voices that sit within us and the voices that we address in others or appeal to in others, or others respond to us from those voices. So it's a simple psychology that helps you understand the inner voice of yourself and of everybody else, and then to make choices of what does that inner voice contain, and how to appeal to the right inner voice of other people around you. So it's a beautiful framework which starts with self-awareness, goes on to understanding relationships, goes on to understanding communication and transactions and how we deal with things, and goes on to understanding how do you achieve the right outcomes. In fact, as Eric Berne would say, use the learnings of TA so that you can get to a point of autonomy, which is be able to do what you're supposed to do successfully. A level of intimacy, which is express yourself in nice, humane ways, and get to a point of spontaneity, which is being in the here and now and dealing with the world and all its stimuli. That's the power of it. So let's say as a parent, you were today saying, because I said so, and that is leading your child to a rebellion. With TA, you would learn how to control that reaction of because I said so, and to really find a logical reason that could appeal to your child when you want to get the child to do something. So let's say you're teaching the child virtues or values or a certain way of behavior. Then you would say something like, listen, let's get ready to do this. It's time to do this. Let's work towards formulating this habit. Let's say, the child has to go to bed. You would say, hey, it's almost bedtime. Let's all get ready for bedtime. Because with transaction analysis, you will understand that if the child thinks you are not going to go to bed and you're imposing that rule on the child, then there is a rebellion brewing against you. So that's the power of transaction analysis. Now, let's ask another question. Why do parents really need TA? Why not something else? Well, there are so many other bodies of knowledge. You can achieve, great results with any or all of that. But transactional analysis per se helps you significantly because it's a full body of knowledge and something that will help you break old cycles and establish some very good new bonds in your parenting. In fact, transactional analysis and the language of TA is so simple that you will understand where your patterns are coming from. And it helps you not to parent from all the baggage that you carry. And in Eric Berne's language, all the garbage that's been piled onto you. Because he says we are all born princes and princesses. It's the world that has made us into frogs and orcs. So TA will help you break a lot of those old cycles and help you build the bond. So it's not just simply about parenting, it's also about you improving yourself, your unconscious patterns, the way you have been passing that on. Well, most of us have taken the unconscious patterns of our grandparents, our parents, and that's where generational scripts exist. And scripts is something that we'll talk about as we go on in these videos. So fundamentally, it helps us bring to awareness everything from the harshness of our words to the harshness of our mannerisms to the meaninglessness of our words or meaninglessness of our logic or the way we have rebelled, etc. So all of that, whatever exists. And the beauty is, like I said, the 3 ego states model and all the other models that are used in transaction analysis, which will then help you think through who you have become and then how you need to change or who you need to become for being an ideal parent. So, again, let's take an example. Like, many of us, out of our generic understanding of parenting, would say something like, you are lazy to our child. And that can be very demotivating for the child, and the child would not express anything back unless it's a teen who would hit back at you. So instead of saying that, you would learn to appeal to the child by asking, what is happening to you right now? What would you like to do? Or say, hey, here are 5 things that you need to complete before you get to bed. How do you think we can work together to make that happen given the little time that we have at hand? That's how TA will help you improve your mannerisms. And in our TA terminology, we call this going from a critical parent to a more nurturing parent with a dose of adult. And at times, you may also become a creative child or a natural child with your child to have fun, get the child over onto the other side. That's what you will learn with TA in parenting. Now, as you do this, you would also want to know, if you say when to use TA at home, well, the answer is every moment. Everything that you do in parenting as a couple, together with each other, as a family, TA has beautiful applications. So your daily routines, your meals, your homework, your chores, all of it will be better. Your interactions at home, the tantrums that all of you work with, whether it's sibling rivalry or it's your couple fights, all of those will get so much better, will get positive. The tears at home, the fears at home, the disappointments at home, the challenges at home, the everyday routines at home, the values, the boundaries, the responsibility, the feeling of being stuck at things, all of that could improve when TA starts getting applied in your household. So learning TA would have so many other benefits for you. It'll clean up your communication, definitely, and I've been giving you so many examples. And parents would not become, quote unquote, what many times children call order givers. Instead of that, they would become beautiful facilitators. Like, let's say your child dropped a plate of food or spilt milk. Instead of yelling at the child, you may possibly say, hey, let's clean this together. In fact, younger children, often when you hand them a tissue or a mop and start working with them to clean, they have so much fun just doing that cleaning. I was witnessing, someone yesterday. So a friend of mine and his wife were washing carpets in their lawn, and suddenly their little girl, about 4 years, runs to them, grabs the pipe and starts washing the carpet along with them. And she was having such massive fun with that water and the whole act of cleaning. Well, definitely by the end of it, the parents were drenched, so was the toddler. But that's the fun of growing up. And I'm sure a teenager would like to do so much of this. And any child would like to enjoy these kind of moments. That's the power of TA that comes into your family. Now, while using this, one of the biggest differences that it'll do is it'll bring your attention to your inner parenting voices. So in TA, we use the parent, adult, child, or a PAC model, as we call it, significantly to understand who we are and how we are dealing with others. And like I've been saying, that's just one of the fundamental models. There are so many other models and simple terminology that you will understand. But this ego state model itself helps us understand our inner voices. That's the first place where you will start becoming a great person, because you will understand that somewhere deep inside you, your child, your emotionality, your playfulness, your fears, your rebellions from when you were a child is playing up. Both the patterns of how they were expressed or how they were suppressed, all of that is playing up. You will discover much of that. You will also discover how you have parental voices in your head, which is sometimes making you a rule giver or a critique, or on other times is making you a nurturer or a caregiver, or being a strong support very silently without being too dictatorial in your ways. You will also understand how somewhere over a period of your life, you have picked up rationality, being calm, being a problem solver, etc. And you will learn how to pass on the right kind of qualities, the right kind of being a child, or as we call the childlike ways, or being the right critical and nurturing parent, or being the right integrating adult to your child. So when you learn these kind of things, you can understand how you are responding and how the child will respond. So if your child is saying, I don't want to talk to you, possibly you have sometimes said, don't argue with me, and that's why the child is saying that. But then you will be able to track that back and saying that I am creating these responses to change this, and say, I am willing to listen to you if you are willing to share. And many times when you start using such language, your child learns to hear you over a period of time. Maybe the child will turn around and say, hey, I hear you, but I want to do something of my own at this point in time. That's how you and your child both grow up along with TA in your household. So TA improves conversations, definitely. TA improves relationships, because you are able to decode what each of you really mean. Otherwise, literally what happens is, we are only wondering what the other person is saying. Most of our communication is simply about trying to figure out what the other person is saying. TA truly helps you decode that conversation. Why? Because it helps you understand, are you talking an adult to adult, or as a nurturing parent to a child, or a critical parent to a child, all of that. And kids can learn better communication using the modeling techniques that TA teaches you. So with those basic pillars discussed, one question that might be coming to your mind is, how much can really change, or how much should change? Well, here is a simple thing. TA, first of all, is not about changing, it's about awareness. And that awareness is so beautiful that it brings up so many choices to you. A choice of how a parent could let go of control and how a child could be put in control, an understanding of you, how you could shift ego states beautifully to make a conversation better, or how to make yourself calmer or your child calmer, or how to bring in respect. And in today's time, when so many families require moral standards, ethical standards, and highest levels of those, so that we are working with the right essence of behaviors and be successful in the long term instead of looking for short-term success. In families which are battling everything from device addiction to bad diet, to weight issues, to several lifestyle health issues, to breaking up and not being able to hold on to relationships successfully, not being able to hold on to jobs or translate ideas into business successfully. In such environments, in such families where we are today, TA will help you bring a lot of long-term stability and emotional control. In fact, we say this so much that, and I've said this so many times to all the people that I have worked with TA, that the biggest trade-off of working with TA is it'll help you build a clean life. We can literally stop crying and come to a point where we can say, hey, I am upset because of this. Let me find a solution. That's the way TA can help us. So all in all, there are tremendous applications of TA in parenting. But the simplest way we can understand is from a chaotic parenting, we can come to connected parenting. And that's the most powerful thing that will happen, because you learn how being a nurturing parent can help you with your child, or being an adult can help you teach your child problem solving or solve the problems for your child. You can learn how to avoid critical parent, or let's say regulate the critical parent to come in only when imposing certain rules or standards comes in handy. You will understand what your child's inner voice is saying, or your inner voice is saying, and modulating all of that. Much of that will help you come away from criticism, judgment, and problems in parenting. And as you do that, your child will move. That's the beauty with which TA will help you move forward. Can you expect results? Absolutely. From day one, if you apply TA concepts purely the way it is, you will start getting results immediately. The results can be first experienced on your inside, because awareness brings stillness and peace. That's where you will start with results. And over a period of time, when you share TA, and we say teach TA when you practice it. So when you share TA with your child, you will help the child grow immensely, because none of the subjects that the child covers in school, in academics, is really helping the child to know who they are, unless you are also following a Bharatiya Shastra system where the Shastras are taught, etc., and self-discovery and self-analysis is a fundamental part of our Shastras. Unless your child is going to that kind of an environment at school, TA will help you teach your child from day one how to be self-aware. So all of this leads to far less power struggles, less shouting, more cooperation, a lot more of trust, the messages coming across to each other, being heard, being valued, being calmer, being warmer, being safer overall. And the most important thing, the permission to be. You can be who you are, okay in your way. Your child can be okay in their way, yet both of you growing every day. That's the power of it. So scolding will get replaced with conversations. Mistakes will get replaced with something that needs learning and understanding and awareness, right? So by now, hopefully it has dawned on you that TA can be a very powerful tool for you in parenting. And through the remaining videos of this series, I'll get into specific aspects of this. But I'm sure some of you must be wondering that whatever I'm saying is too deep and too strong, and maybe it can be a mirror, maybe it can be a weapon, some of that. But look, the way TA is and the values of TA is like a mirror, not at all like a weapon. Because TA doesn't teach you to label. TA doesn't teach you to clinicalize your child. Many times in today's world, with medical terminology being accessible, with Google and so many other journals being accessible, we call the child different terms coming from all those issues of development and attention, etc. TA doesn't teach all of that. TA simplifies things for you because it doesn't believe in clinicalizing. TA believes that we are all okay, we can all think, we can all grow, we can all develop. And that's where TA takes away a lot of the shame and control from our communication. That's where TA is a beautiful weapon. TA is a beautiful mirror, not a weapon in our hands. So we learn consciousness one day at a time in TA. That's the power of TA. So I'll welcome you with that, on that note, with that introduction to TA. Do follow the video list that I have given so that you can also see the TA introduction that I'm giving in general for life. So along with that series and this series, I'm sure you will work with some of the TA resources like the book TA Today by Ian Stewart, or I Am Okay, You're Okay by Thomas Harris, or Games People Play by Eric Byrne. These are some wonderful books that you can use to learn more about TA. Maybe even do a CTA. The International Transactional Analysis Association, or ITAA, has various trained TSTAs who can teach you TA further. So do take a chance if this interests you. But with that, let me welcome you to the world of TA, and I will see you soon with another topic and the next in this series. Till then, wish you good luck taking care of your children and yourself and learning the beautiful language and application of TA.